Hong Kong? Didn't that used to be a British colony? Damn shame we lost it. Jolly good dim sum.
Oh yeah, there's another place that's kind of part of China, but also not really.
They got oil, right?
Didn't they once have an airport in the middle of the city and they had to blow up a mountain to build a new one?
As you could probably imagine, Hong Kong is a very well-known city around the world. This little territorial anomaly in southern China is a whole host of activity throughout the region, and virtually the definition of the term urban. It is certainly no Luxembourg, but I'm here anyway, so I'm going to make a video about it and all those things asked in the intro. Well, maybe except the oil. Hong Kong was once a British colony, and to this day retains many clear reminders of its colonial past. As in, it has double-decker bus services, which drive on the left side of the road, you plug everything into the wall with Type G plug outlets, and of course basically everything is named after Queen Victoria. Hong Kong was a British colony for well over 100 years, and grew especially rich throughout the 50s and 60s as basically the one place kind of technically in China where people could actually conduct business. However, while the British did fully colonize Hong Kong Island and the lower half of the Kowloon Peninsula, the rest of Hong Kong, known as the New Territories, were only rented from China from the year 1898 for 99 years, upon the ending of which in 1997, the British effectively gave Hong Kong back to China. Though the British and Chinese negotiated a special deal that allowed Hong Kong a 50-year period to essentially adapt to being part of China, as life in Hong Kong had grown to be completely different from life in the People's Republic. But is Hong Kong China? Well, yes and no. Officially, it is part of the People's Republic of China, known officially as the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China. But in practice, you probably wouldn't have thought so. Hong Kong has a separate government and police, and a separate immigration policy, which is a bit more friendly to Westerners. PRC citizens even need a special permit to go to Hong Kong, weirdly enough. Hong Kong citizens even have their own passports, which grant them different visa-free travel privileges from those living on the mainland. Not to mention that none of your favorite websites like YouTube or Twitter are actually banned here. However, independent as it may seem in function, it is still under the overarching control of Beijing. Hong Kongers may elect their governor, but only from a pool of candidates approved by the Chinese government, which has triggered some protests recently. Stepping out of politics, hopefully before everything goes awry in the comments, Hong Kong even has its own currency, the Hong Kong dollar, which is completely different from the Chinese yuan renminbi. However, both currencies are pegged to the US dollar, so maybe not all that different. However, each of the banknotes have a different style to them. 3 different styles because they're all issued by 3 different commercial banks in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, the Standard Chartered Bank of Hong Kong, and the Bank of China of Hong Kong. They're all the same currency, just in different designs. However, this is only true for the 20s, 50s, 100s, 500s, and 1000s, as the $10 banknotes and all the coins are issued by the Hong Kong government itself. While Hong Kong is very English-friendly, it is still important to remember that this city is very much Chinese first, English second. And the Chinese they speak here is actually Cantonese, not necessarily Mandarin. You can get around with Mandarin, but it's best to learn at least a little bit of Cantonese beforehand. Many of the locals here might not actually know much English, and even if they do, it's always polite to learn at least a little bit of Cantonese beforehand. Simple words and phrases like ngoi or doje can go a long way. Of course, being a series of heavily mountainous islands crammed in by the Chinese border, there isn't much room for them to build essential stuff, like housing. So where do Hong Kong's more than 7 million people live? Straight up. Hong Kong has never hosted the tallest building in the world, but it does have the most skyscrapers in the world, with 303 buildings at a height greater than 150 meters, with the tallest being the 484-meter International Commerce Center in Kowloon. For comparison, the second place contender, New York, has only 237 skyscrapers, with their tallest being the new 416-meter One World Trade Center. With that in mind, perhaps it's also not surprising that Hong Kong is the most expensive real estate market in the world, and those who can't pay for a proper apartment, well, I'd recommend you check out this episode of Vox Borders. Despite its really specific circumstance, Hong Kong actually has a twin city right next door to it in the form of Macau. Macau was a Portuguese colony up until the year 1999, but was largely overshadowed by the larger Hong Kong. However, Macau's economy has also grown, instead becoming basically the Las Vegas of Asia, except that it actually brings in even more revenue than Vegas and actually has knockoffs of famous buildings in Vegas, as in they have an entire Venetian casino. When you arrive in Hong Kong, you will most likely be arriving in Hong Kong Chulalongkorn International Airport if you're traveling by air. There is another airfield at Chek Kong, but that's a military airport, so you'll almost certainly be flying into Cheklapkok. However, until one fateful night in 1998, Hong Kong International Airport once referred to Kai Tak Airport in Kowloon Bay. Kai Tak Airport was built in 1925 and eventually became surrounded by skyscrapers, meaning that Hong Kong effectively outgrew its old airport. The new airport was built by completely leveling Cheklapkok and Lam Chau Islands and filling in the space in between, due to the aforementioned lack of space for many things in the area. I mean, it's not like they could have built it vertically, airports kind of have to be flat. This new airport proved to be a huge engineering project, but it turned out way better for the territory, as planes now take off and land over the world's most controversial sea, not the tops of buildings. You can even catch a ferry directly to Macau or the mainland from the airport, just in case Hong Kong wasn't actually your final destination. The ferries operate internationally, meaning customers aren't technically in Hong Kong as they ride the ferries, making everything quite a bit easier for those who don't actually want to go through Hong Kong customs. Today, the land left behind by the old airport is at least planning to be used for office spaces, but they're still working on that. So if you were thinking of going to Hong Kong, or maybe aren't sure if you want to go to Hong Kong, I'd say go. Hong Kong is an incredibly exhilarating city that perfectly combines the historic and the futuristic, as well as the chaotic and the tranquil. Hong Kong is a city practically bursting at the seams with life, and that is something I would highly recommend you see in person. Okay, cue the end screen. Thank you as always for watching. Please be sure to like and check out the Canubis Discord server, and be sure to subscribe so you can tune in next week to a video from Bangkok, Thailand.